Well, just a few short years ago, NBC's Meet the Press was a ratings juggernaut among the Sunday talk shows. That, of course, was under the helm of the late Tim Russert. Since then, Meet the Press has steadily slipped under David Gregory, and that's got NBC on the defensive. Within broadcast journalism, it has an impeccable pedigree.
The world's longest-running television program. This is Meet the Press with David Gregory.
But lately, that legacy is showing some tarnish. Since NBC handed the reins to David Gregory in 2008, Meet the Press has seen its once stellar ratings fall.
An exclusive interview with President George W. Bush.
Under Tim Russert, Meet the Press dominated Sunday mornings. But now the show trails frontrunner CBS's Face the Nation, hosted by the folksy Bob Schieffer.
They are true heroes.
Meet the Press even trails ABC's This Week, still in transition after Christiane Amanpour's departure.
So what do you do now if you're the Obama administration?
According to the Washington Post, the ratings meltdown has sounded alarm bells inside NBC News, with network brass reportedly going so far as to commission a psychological consultant to figure out what's wrong with Gregory. NBC denies that, saying it was just a branding study. Maybe it's time to update Tim Russert's old sign-off. If it's Sunday, it's probably not Meet the Press. Well, true confessions, I don't watch any of the Sunday morning talk shows. I'd much rather be reading a newspaper, so I have to say that. But I know this program has, and I want to say also, I really like David Gregory. He's funny, he's charming, and I don't know what the issue is because they don't watch the show, except to say that he doesn't do the same kind of thing that Tim Russert did, was that very intense but personal approach to all the interviews he did. There's a lot of satellite stuff that David Gregory does. He has the same people on every other week. You know, Debbie Stabenow from Michigan, you know, Reese Priebus. You know what these people are going to say. There's nothing original. And I think Tim Russert used to go for these, it was longer form, and he often had somebody right there with him, and it was different.
He actually practiced actual journalism. He would have a politician on who was claiming one thing or taking a position. He'd pop up the quote of the hapless Paul having taken the opposite position a few years back and hit him with it and have him or her respond. It was great stuff. I, too, choose to do other things on my Sunday mornings. I have a yellow lab who needs to be walked, and that takes priority. But I wonder, and I guess full disclosure, I work for WBZ, which is owned by CBS. I wonder if Meet the Press has suffered from damage done to the NBC brand by MSN.
Meet the Press, not beat. Beat's fine.
Did I say beat?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon.
We're fine.
No, forgive me, Emily. I wonder if there's been damage done to the brand in the mind of that Sunday morning viewer by the issues that have plagued MSNBC over the years, where they just don't. I don't find David Gregory to be particularly partisan, but a lot of people do. And if they do, they may not. You know, they have options, good, solid options.
I too don't watch, but from what I've seen of Gregory in his current perch, but also remember that he did the I think it was a Herald UMass Lowell debate.
Oh, the Brown-Warren debate.
The Brown-Warren race. He's a little hot. You know, he can't sit back and let people speak and sort of follow their cues.
It's all about him.
He has his points that he wants to make, and it's almost like he's not really listening when they're speaking. I think we saw that in that debate. And if you're that way, if you're wired that way, you can't do the sort of thing that you were saying Russert used to do. It's just, it doesn't come to you naturally. And then it's going to look forced, and people aren't going to watch.
Bring in the psychological consultant.
Okay. So I actually watched this.
Oh, right.
It was like a shocking thing. And I think that my sort of assessment of what's going on with David Gregory is that he's trying so much to be what people want that he's having trouble sort of figuring out what his own voice is. And 6 years in, that is a rough place to be. Like at this point, if you haven't sort of settled into your own place, that's going to be a tough challenge. But I think what's more amazing is that, you know, so the Washington Post pushed back on NBC for saying that it wasn't a psychological consultant and said that they verified that that's the word, psychological, more than once with the PR person. So how about that person being asleep on the job? Like, how does that get through and appear in the Washington Post? Like, you sort of have to feel bad for this guy. He is really taking
I mean, they were apparently interviewing his wife and family members and friends. That is a psychological
Of course it is. I watch the shows when someone new is on, which is my point. There is a little club of people that moves around. In fact, I had Betty Martin Fisher was over here at the Shorenstein, and I said to her, "What happened there?" She used to be the EP with Tim Russert. It's the same people, and may I say, not enough variety of the same people, and by that I mean women and folks of color. And she said, "Well,
other than Debbie Stabenow and Reese Priebus."
Yeah, she said, I mean, it's the same. So if you can see them everywhere, you're not telling me something different. I like David Gregory as a reporter. I'm sorry, you can be hot, cold, or whatever. Sometimes that's just not your role, and it's not his role. I've been saying that from day one. I said it when he got named to the job. I don't see it. And he was a great reporter. Now, I will say, they're doing these little short things on the web. He's a little better in those. But in this role, I can hardly take it. It's just not good. And the reason that Bob Schieffer is able to do that is Bob Schieffer is authentically himself. This is who I am, and he doesn't mind asking the questions of whomever is sitting there, the real hard ones, like Tim used to do, and that's the bottom line. But get some new blood in there. You know, David, I'm not sure that's your role, and let's mix up the, what we're trying to do there. I think it would be interesting.
And, others have made this point, but I'll make it too, that, if it's Sunday, it must be Meet the Press. No. Now, if you want news and analysis and discussion of topical issues, it's at your fingertips any time of the day or night, all week long. You don't need to wait for Sunday, and they really aren't offering up anything particularly special.
But that's the thing. You can't go there you're not going there for facts. You're going there for an enhanced analysis. And that's where he has to bring something to that.
But I think that's at your fingertips 24/7.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
But somebody can bring it, though.
Yeah, I mean, 9 million people still watch. That's a rating that any cable show would kill to have, right? So there is some valuable service being provided. There is context being given to the week. It's just that it's not the same sort of Tim Russert, everyone gathered around, Washington Insider look at the week. And I think that's not necessarily bad. It's just that David Gregory isn't connecting with his audience. That's not the same thing as the Sunday shows being irrelevant.
That's right.
Just in my opinion.
I agree with you.